Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Next 10 meeting for March 15th, 2023. We'll follow our standard approach of going through the agenda items that were tagged in the issue. So welcome to the Node.js, which is issue number 196 in the Next 10 repo. And before we get started, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share?
I don't know if you have seen the message from Thierry about example documentation initiative created by Jean.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I'm just back from vacation. What's the...
Yeah. So my understanding of past meeting with Doc Minute truc is not the same as Thierry. So who have really understanding? If I have a good understanding, the idea is to archive the actual repo and just keep the long section from Node.js website redesign.
Hey,
okay, so
how are you?
Hi,
Hey, John.
how you doing? So I think what you're saying is that he confirmed that what he had in mind was different from what Jean was proposing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then what? Okay, I'm just taking that down in the notes.
Yeah.
Any other announcements before we move on to the issues? Sorry, go ahead, Jean.
Sorry, just I missed what you were saying just before about what you discussed. I joined in the middle, so I don't have any.
Yeah.
Yep. No really big announcement. Just maybe a quick news for everyone. Like we do have a collaborator summit in a month and a half, something like that. So if you want to book your ticket, if you want to join us, there will be a collaborator session and also the conference, the OpenJS World Conference. So, yep, we'll be in Vancouver. Could be great. And also another big news, I saw there is an open source summit in Europe in Spain this year, like September or October, and also with an OpenJS summit that will be held there. And I guess we will also try to have a collaborator summit.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah. So I think we can think about topics. I guess as we're thinking, the first thing on the agenda is to talk about submissions, but now we could also think, maybe keep in mind that there'll be another one in Spain as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Vancouver. Another one. That's open source summit in Spain in September, October, I think. Okay, that's good. So then I'll move on to the issues tagged for the agenda. The first one is session proposals for the next collaborator summit. So I'm going to open that up. I don't see any new suggestions on that. I'm just looking, maybe we can quickly go through the rest of the issues tagged for the agenda and then come back and spend most of the time on that, if that makes sense to people. Sounds good. Okay. So getting the Club Summit attendee list, I think, yeah, if I remember, there was just something that I needed to do, right? And then we could close that out. Just take
if you have like 5 minutes just to check if I didn't, if it's a good naming, because you know more people than me, so would be great. But I think it's a quick one. I think I don't remember. I maybe was missing one person. So yeah, but I think it should be pretty straightforward if you agree with the list.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I'll try and do that.
I used Tony picture and video and stuff like that. So maybe some other people are missing, but I don't remember like 4 months after the event.
Yeah, no, it's a good it's a good capture, and we can always add to it if people are like, hey, I was there.
Also, because everyone was sent an email about every people attending or at least booking the event before, we were sent a T-shirt and stuff like that. So I would guess that the OpenJS Foundation do have a list of at least people who ask for the T-shirt.
That's true, yeah.
So I don't know if you can have access to that, but that would give some more information if we are missing some people.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then we can close that out. Right. Basically, so Michael, land. The metadata proposal for docs. So I think Claudio mentioned he couldn't make it today, so we can probably leave that on the agenda to next time.
Yep.
I do know that, you know, he's still been making progress. He had an updated proposal based on feedback from the TSC. So I think that that's moving forward. So brace. Review easy retros from Club Supt and do updates as appropriate.
Yeah, I have to update to finish it and push it. Like, didn't have a lot of time lately, so I have to do it. I really want to do it before the summit anyway. So, and before also we send the survey. So I will try to book 1 hour to finish it this week.
Okay, sounds great. Visualization of technical priorities.
Yeah, you put a comment about what does it mean when things are in nothing, which was just a name of a column, which was true, wrongly named, could have been like no progress.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I will have to go through this one, maybe do some renaming and stuff like that. But do you find it's a good way to see if we did some work, or do you think I should maybe change how the presentation or stuff like that?
I think like a visual presentation is always good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of, you know, just thinking right now if I could think of any other alternatives, but I think it's nice to see. Especially it's nice to be able to see like, hey, yeah, some things are almost done, and
yeah.
And like you probably thought, I can see from this thinking is like things could stay in progress for a long time. So it's good to kind of show whether you're like, yeah, we're actually making real progress or not, right?
Yeah, and like some other like migrate on the wrong way, like ESM in 2021 was in progress, and during 2022 I think we almost did nothing about it. Like, and on my part, it was even more of a global confusion stuff for everyone, how to use ESM, how to build library and to use it with Node.js. So I move it on the right side and not the left.
Although I think like the loaders team did quite a lot of work on that front. So I think they would definitely put it into the in progress side of things.
Okay, yeah, I could move it back. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one I would definitely move into the in progress. I agree on the type side. We didn't do as much in assuming. I'm trying to think when Claudio put together his proposal, right? Like, so the types, I think that sort of documentation helps.
Yes, so, I didn't include for types the work done by Claudio about the documentation. I was more referring about, I think Tierney was the one working on it, like at the start with also the electron documentation and way to work and stuff like that. So it didn't move a lot.
But I think what Claudio did replaces that. Now, what I can't remember is if that started in 2023.
I think we started discussing it end of 2022.
Okay, but so it's kind of like where that one, it's like I see you have it right next to the in progress.
Yes, I could move it a little bit more, yeah, now.
Because I'd solidly put it into in progress, but again, we don't want to we're in a different year. So yeah, it's small footprint, performance. Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's an interesting picture, right? And
yeah, if for you it seems like easy to understand that way, I can keep it that way. Maybe change a few stuff, but if it's a good overview, could be great to keep it that way.
yeah, I don't know what other, Karen and Augustine, what do you think? Is it interesting to see the work in this particular way?
Yeah. If you want, I don't know if you have the link. I put it in the chat of the issue. I think we can maybe move on to the next one.
Okay, yeah. So if people want to think about that, but I think that, be good. And we probably want some broader, we can get, once we're happy with what the content is for, say, the different years, we can get some broader input and go from there. But I think it would be a nice way to talk about what the project is accomplishing and moving forward. Because even just like part of the next 10 can be like, well, okay, let's talk about and show that the project is still making good progress and doing things. So make a next blog post, I think.
Yes, I think we should, that's a really good point about it. Like, we should find a way, like yearly or bi-yearly, I don't know, the timeline, to have an official what has been done in the last months, 6 months or a year, just to have a global feedback, because we are working on the JS, so we are aware about big PR landing or stuff like that, but on some other smaller footprint, new functionality or stuff like that, it's harder to follow everything. So it could be a good way to have a big information for everyone that we can publicly share. And that is not reading the changelog.
Yeah, and it might be like, we have the 2 big releases in April and October. So maybe like the 3 months, in the middle of those would make sense.
Yeah, I was also thinking if we do 2 collaborator we go back to 2 collaborator summit a year. It could be like 1 or 2 weeks after each one, which would be 6 months of work plus the feedback and the discussion during the collaborator summit.
Yeah, no, but yeah, getting some. Yeah, it's more like the releases are like, hey, what did actually go in, and can talk about what there, and then the longer term efforts, it's good to have the sort of discussion of them.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so we'll say discuss proposal, looking good. Okay, example documentation if 194, Jean was going to discuss with Tierney, and I think, Augustin, this is the one where you said that Tierney commented and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I just saw the other day, just put an official answer on a discussion. I will try to talk with Tony about what we want to do, how he was doing it like before when it was working and pushing, and what we want and how we want to work around it. But that's great. That's a good initiative to follow up. And I think that also could be a good way to use as for the new website to link about example and everything. Like if people want to write an article and publish it with on a new website, could be great to have also the example being pushed in this repository, maybe in a special folder or something, but at least everything will be in the same place as a good, let's say, broad documentation on how to do something.
Right. Okay.
So I will try to find some time to discuss with Tony if he's available during like this week or next week. But yeah.
Sounds good. The I-18 initiative documentation.
No, nothing really new on that. I think I did find a okay-ish way to work with GitHub and GitHub Action to use when someone updates the core the English version or the official documentation to publish that. But it will mainly be also a discussion following the TSC meeting about documentation that some people are not really keen to have documentation or don't want to
Right.
maintain. So the main discussion is, do we want first to have a documentation, a multi-language documentation? If we want, how we want to handle that? Should we let that being done only by the community without checking, or do we want to also be involved a bit? I think that could be an interesting discussion. And because the main issue is, if we are doing it for one country, if we do an automated process, it will be the same, like one country or 20 country will be the same. Like, main issue is, do we want to do something?
Yeah, I think the documenting what the project's approach is
Yeah.
would be a good, it would be good. Like, even if that is, we don't want to do it, having that discussed and agreed. And because, yeah, like from the feedback there, the real comment was like, well, actually, the translated documentation ends up being more harmful than helpful, right? And
yes,
but you know, I think it was like, well, it could be useful for one or two languages, right? And the question would then be, okay, does that make sense? Or
I would agree, at least starting with one or two language. Like, I think we were discussing about Chinese first, and maybe what was it, Hindu, the second one, like 2 big country with 1 billion plus people. Then in other case, we will have to see for other one. I was checking also the documentation in other repository languages, stuff like that, like React. Like, you have quite a lot of people still working on trying to maintain it the best they can. So it's a pretty good approach on, let's say, a community approach. And I would agree with what also Matteo was saying, that the quality of the documentation will also depend. But like, this is the main issue. Like, we are working in English every day, and sometimes translating keyword in English to French or some other language could be quite an issue. Like, how do you render? How do you translate that without using the English term? So there's also this part of issue, but I would agree that maybe not a pure documentation, but documentation about like key initiative or stuff like that, or even the new article/blog being posted on a new website. It's like 50-line example, stuff like that, could be translated, I would guess, quite easily.
Yeah, I guess it's like who and how and what. And so, but yeah, I think like you said, the like documenting our approach that would say like, hey, yeah, we've discussed, and like as a project, we've said, well, we don't actually think it adds value to translate X. This would be useful. There's kind of like, there would be the different categories of, you know, we don't think it adds value, so, you know, we wouldn't spend money. Here's one where if we had unlimited funds, we would actually do, you know, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
You know, there's we don't do it because we don't have people. And then we don't do it because, well, we don't really think that it's going to move things forward. And
I would agree, yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's, if we loop back to the Collaborator Summit, that might actually be a decent topic to dive into a little bit more in detail on, like, what makes sense, what doesn't, and so forth.
Yep.
Okay. Next 10 survey.
Just about the
Go ahead.
internationalization.
Yeah.
I have tested something, but monorepo for doc is not a good idea with website. Now in Node.js website or design, we have one repo with doc, blog, learn about, download. But the problem is when we add French, Dutch, and other language, we will have a big repo. So to download and contribute, it will be not very useful. So people with bad connection can download the project. So I think have mono repo just for doc, it's a good idea, but I don't know your point of view.
I think like doc is a big word, like, because I think our API doc is already in a separate repo, although that's the node repo, which comes along with a bunch of other stuff. So it's which doc, I guess, is my first question.
Yes, because you also have to think about, we are still, like, a lot of people use Linux or Mac or use a CLI to just have access to the documentation through CLI. I'm thinking about the man for every Linux ecosystem, stuff like that. So you still need normally to have a lot of information being still available and displayed just from the command line without having to open a website or some other stuff. So if you start to split everything, some people will be mad.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a note. That might be something also just keep in mind, like when we have Claudio back, like in a next meeting, maybe mention that again, because he's got lots of stuff going on that front. So I don't think and built on the website as well. I think there's enough in flight of change that we wouldn't necessarily want to propose something right away. But I think once that all settles, it's not impossible that, there could be the website itself, some stuff that maybe changes at a different cadence or something. I don't know. It could make sense to have a couple repos if that helps. Okay, the next 10 survey. I think we have the questions, and we'd asked Joe, right?
Yes.
Joe was gonna go off and see
with
yeah.
I don't remember her name. Sorry.
Yeah.
Someone for the OpenJS communication stuff.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna Slack him right as we speak, just as a reminder to ask where that is at. And how do I add a person there? Oops. Okay, so we'll just I just ping Joe, see if there's an update on that, because I think we want to get that, figure out how we're going to do that, if nothing else, fairly soon.
Yep.
And this one still have my next step is for Michael to PR in some doc in the main repo. And then once we do that, we can publicize among the collaborators the approach, and also reach out to some of the dailies to say, hey, here is a place you can pick up some noise.
Yep.
Not noise, I mean news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That seems to be
okay,
good.
So we can flip back then to the Collaborator Summit. This is issue number 194. And the question was different things and what should we propose? I'm going to add into one of the suggestions, which was translation, what makes sense, what makes sense to translate or not, and what approach that we maintain the project approach. Okay. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question, nothing really linked to the next 10, but almost about this topic. Do you know if the single executable team still have meeting, or is it still alive? Because I was going to open an issue for them also to, if they want to discuss about or try to add a time to discuss during the Collaborator Summit in Vancouver.
Definitely is going in terms of
I see some. Yeah, I do see some comment from Raisin from other people, but I don't see any issue lately or pull request.
Right. So the initial version landed. So I would reach out to Darshan and like
Okay,
he'd
yeah.
be the one I'd say like, hey, do you think it's a good idea
Okay,
to
yeah.
submit a session, a discussion on it there? And
Yep.
there's definitely
Yeah.
some good discussion going on about like using
Yes.
snapshots and
True, 100%. Yeah, because I did that also for the performance team. Could be great for them to organize something, or for us.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, okay, great. It was, sorry, just
Yeah.
we can go back.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
so that's good. Yeah, if you want to ping Darshan and if you somebody from the performance team, that'd be great. And I think like the security team is already thinking about that. Raphael mentioned, I think he's
Yeah,
already made a proposal. So
yeah, Raphael did a proposal. I think Rui did another one for the release team. I think there is also 5 or 6 different open issue on the OpenJS issue
Okay.
list. Yeah, I will ping Darshan.
Okay. So serverless functions, deep dive, observability, diagnostic channel, building long-term collaborators. Those were the ones that we already had on the list. We just added the translation, what makes sense to translate or not, and documenting the project's approach.
Yep.
Any other thoughts or ideas that come to people's mind in terms of like good topics for this time?
I won't add it today, but I was thinking, depending on the discussion, if I can have a discussion with Tierney, could also be a good topic. But I will first discuss with Tierney about the example part of the documentation, let's say.
Okay.
But I will try to discuss with Tierney first and just put it after, depending on what we discuss.
Right. Okay. Now, yeah, I don't know how many sessions there'll be or how much time, but like I think we could assume an hour slot and possibly 2 if we propose to, right?
Yes. Also, there is 2 rooms. I was checking on the post by Claudio, sorry. I think it's 9 to 5,
Right.
and we do have 2 rooms, so we can handle twice the number of sessions.
Okay.
So we get like it's 93 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, so it's 6,
Right.
6, 12. So I think we can have at least one just about the next 10 could be great. I think something we could try to propose is like the last 2 times, one about just the next 10, maybe do a quick feedback about the survey, the result of the survey, stuff like that. And I think we'll use at least, I would guess we can do it in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Just for the survey thing. And then it will depend how long we want to talk. Like I'm pretty sure like for serverless, if we do a deep dive on serverless, it's I think the diagnostic channel team open an issue also for something.
Okay, good.
Let me just check to be sure, but I think I saw something about yes. Yeah. Ward, I don't know. It's okay. It's Stefan open a session about listing async local storage of async hook.
Okay.
But I can discuss with him if we can also have something about the diagnostic channel could be interesting also.
Yeah, I think one diagnostics related one, and he would. That's probably what he's figuring is the most important or most interesting to get some stuff, some feedback on. I'm just looking at the different.
Yep. Also, if some people want to check the list, if you don't have it, I put the link. The OpenJS Foundation Summit list in the chat.
I kind of think that building long-term collaborators might be an interesting one.
Yes. And I think I was almost, maybe I did lose. Okay, I never posted, but I was starting to write something.
Yeah.
Should we also have an official discussion about corporate support? Because last time during the last summit, it was almost a transversal topic that was raised again and again when we were talking about security, about improvements, stuff like that. So should we have something about just dedicated to this one? At least could be interesting to note, because it was nice, but quite an issue that every time we discuss about security, the discussion came back to, if company want to pay for security, we will do security, but if no one want to support that, we won't do it. Like, I can agree, but
Right. It's kind of like the question is, do we think we can make progress?
It will really depend what we, I don't know. To be honest, it's a question we should solve. Should we, I don't know, work with some people to find a way to have, let's say, financial backing by some company? Or should we just say, okay, we agree, we will never have support, so we can stop discussing about it, at least.
Right. Yeah, it's the, what can you do to, I only ask because I think we've discussed it before, but it's kind of like we don't never come up with a concrete like a concrete answer to like how we can translate the level of interest into companies supporting and providing enough people or dollars or.
True. Yes. Also,
but here, I'm going to add it in. Jean,
do
you want to add that? Why don't you add in a comment to that issue just at the bottom saying, hey, here's another topic.
Yeah.
I think we could have like a keeping the project healthy mission or something. And then like there could be a few good topics that are related to that, you know, one being building long-term collaborators.
Yes.
You know, then, you know, corporate support or funding, you know. Right, which could be like, we could talk with all, you know, we've got like, you know, there's crowdfunding, there's support from the foundation, and then there'd be like individual support from corporate support, right? So, you know, maybe we could roll that into one topic, right?
True. Also, I was just wondering, is there an easy way for people who want to, I don't know, support Node.js to do it? Is it documented somewhere? I mean,
right. I don't think there's an easy, like, hey, you want to support the project, here's the things you could do. Yes,
because we on Sanofi side, we are sponsoring Vue.js and another tool that we use inside, and they do just have in GitHub page about, you can use GitHub support, or you can use this way, contact this person. We will, if you are a company, we will like generate an invoice for you, and you can just send the money here, basically. So
right, to support the project. Just typing here, let me share my what I'm typing so that you know, it's kind of like, and I'll take a few like notes would be like allow or reward your people for contributing to the project. Join the Open Foundation, contribute to our Halifax account, you know. Sponsor, I don't know, like we could come up with sponsor X, right? Like collaborator summit. Like maybe that would be, yeah, because maybe we need like a supporting MD, like you have the security MD, if there was like a support.md or something, right? And you listed out like, okay, well, here are the things that you can do and make that explicit. That's at least, I think that's an interesting, right? And make it an easy, because some things like joining the foundation is harder than just like contributing to an account or, sponsoring the Collaborator Summit. Maybe that's easier as a point marketing thing for some people or whatever. And
Yep.
Okay. And then I don't know what under that, what else, what are the sort of topics would
One interesting topic could be, it's a bit linked to the sponsoring part, I would guess, but just the compute power we use for GitHub runner and stuff like that. Like we had Raspberry Pi, we also have some ARM stuff to run action or test, benchmark, stuff like that. I was wondering, do we have a list of who is providing? Because I'm pretty sure that some companies still provide maybe some stuff, but we are not using it because we are not aware.
Right. So like, I guess, I don't know if it's related, but like definitely one of the ways people contribute is through the Node.js infrastructure. We have a bunch of donators and we definitely are very, very thankful for them. So like that's something that should be in, should have had that in the list from the beginning, because actually we have that is a way. And I guess that's kind of what you're saying is like to the infrastructure / but you're even thinking that like there might be other resources which could be contributed beyond just infrastructure.
I think the main one would be infrastructure stuff. Like
okay, so yeah, so that should definitely be on the list.
Yep. Yeah. Also, do we have a list, an official list of what we have available?
So like if I go to here and I go to the build repo, we have a list of people who donate. So like, you can see the infrastructure providers, right? We get stuff from DigitalOcean, Rackspace, and then, Microsoft, IBM. All these people donate resources like Cloudflare is our CDN.
Yes, because Scaleway is a French company, and I saw they're supporting Node.js, and they display also that. And last time when I was talking about Node.js, no one was able to say that we have something from them.
Right. So this is where we have like all that stuff. This is our best documentation so far. We might actually improve on that, right? Like the more we can kind of like thank people for contributing, the better, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, we might, this has been quite successful, and so having, discussing how we better thank people for that and stuff would, and encourage other types of donations even would make sense.
Yep.
So it's sort of topic, building long-term collaborators, encouraging companies, people to support the project. That probably would fill an hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we could have like maybe just put this at the end if we ran out. We probably wouldn't get time to get there, but we could, leave that on the list of if we get past all the other stuff. Go ahead.
I think this one main pain point for collaborator will be because if we do also the same collaborator survey as we did last time, there is a column about what went well and what went badly. So most of the time we do have this column already on the survey part.
Sure. Okay. So like this could be one session, I think. And then another session could be our typical review of like what's going well, what's not going well. I think, okay. And then second session, which is basically the, what's going well, not so well, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And then technical priorities slash technical priorities review. That one we can probably write up a bit better, but like that would be, I think you're right. Like doing that every collaborator summit probably makes sense to just say, let's do the brainstorm, what's going well, what's not going so well, and then the technical priority review to say, hey, do we all, something else emerging, or was still good with our current stuff?
Yep.
Okay. If we did those two, then I think that's probably as many as from the next 10 effort itself. And then, like you were already doing, encouraging some of the other initiatives to submit things like, there's a new WASM team spinning up, so maybe I'll add I'll discuss with them to see if that makes sense to try and have a session or not. And
yep. Yeah, also I think we discussed quickly a bit about it last time. The serverless one is only really interesting if we have people from most of the key providers in this ecosystem. So
yeah,
would be maybe easier for everyone to have it online.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, and I think doing some online worked pretty well. So I think, yeah, we can see, and if nothing else, we can maybe get a list of ones which like, okay, let's do this one as a remote one. We can make the time slightly better. Okay. And then, right. Because yeah, we haven't done one of those for a while, and I think it's time to probably do that. Okay, so those two are decent ones. I'd be happy to submit the one like keeping the project healthy. Do you want to submit the other one on the like our review like we did?
I can submit the one about
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so I think
last question.
Yep.
What do you mean by reward people?
Reward your people for contributing to the project. Say, how can we, like, if people contribute from a company like working time, how is it a gain for the company and for the people? Like,
okay, yeah.
Globally.
Yeah, the key thing we hear is that even some companies where people can have like free time, like to work in the open source project, often it's like, well, we let you do that as a bonus to you, as opposed to the company saying, hey, it's going to help your career because you did this.
Yeah.
And so the reward is like, yeah, let's make it part of your job, and you get rewarded for doing a good job and accomplishing things in the community, versus just you do it because they gave you some time to do whatever you wanted, right? And you chose that.
Thanks for this clarification.
Any other comments or questions on this one before we kind of move on to the, I guess, or well, that would take us to the end. So any more things on this before we sort of figure out if there's any other topics we should chat about?
I don't think we I don't, at least on my part, I don't really have another topic.
Okay. I'm just going to take a note in the minutes that we discussed proposals. Sean has action.
Yep.
To submit one, and we'll submit the other. Okay. Well then, if that's it, a good discussion today, and thanks to everybody. We will see everybody in a couple weeks and chat in GitHub between now and then. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.